A majority of people that DIY their locks and do their own retires do a fantastic job. Not to toot my own horn, toot. What is up, FLocers? That is my fellow lockers and aspiring lockers. If you have not yet joined the flock, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can join, and also hit that like button so I know what type of content you all are enjoying. In today's video, I am going to be talking about the reasons why you should just do your reties yourself. So if you're interested in that list, make sure to stick around. All right, here we go. Jumping right into the list, I think one of the most important reasons why you should just do your reties yourself is because you save that coin. Who doesn't love to save money? Reties can be extremely expensive, especially depending on what type of locks you have, how many locks you have, your hair density, all of that stuff can factor into how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost for a retie. There are people who pay upwards of $120, $150, maybe even up to $200 for their reties, depending on how long it takes, like I said, and how many locks they have. If you're doing it at home yourself, you're not having to endure that cost. And who doesn't like to keep a couple extra $100 in their pocket? And now you're talking, depending on your retie schedule, it could be every 4 weeks, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. So who doesn't like having an additional $150 or more every 4 to 6 weeks or every 6 to 8 weeks in their pocket that you can spend on something else or you can put in savings? I know I'm about keeping that coin, and I'm sure a lot of you at home watching right now are about keeping that coin yourself too. So if you want to save that coin, go ahead and do your reties yourself. Reason number 2, I guess that could be 4. Reason number 2 why you may want to do your reties yourself is that you can probably do just as good of a job or close to as good of a job as you might get from going to a loctician. Now, no shade to locticians. I'm not saying that you're going to have a perfect crisp look like you're going to a loctician, but you'd be surprised how well you can make your hair look yourself. Now, again, you may not have it as crisp and as perfect as a loctician may have it, but I've seen my own results from retying myself, and I've seen other YouTubers' results from retying themselves. And I'd have to say that a majority of people that DIY their locks and do their own reties do a fantastic job. Not to toot my own horn, toot. But I'm just saying, I think you can do a great job if you're decent at doing your hair yourself. Now, I'm not encouraging you, if you're horrible at doing hair and your own hair specifically, to go out and try to retie your own hair. If that's not your zhuzh, then that's not your zhuzh. Go ahead and let someone else do it. But if you're decent at doing your own hair, give it a shot. If it comes out completely horrible, then you can always go to a loctician later. But save that coin, because you might be able to get results very close to and similar to what a loctician may give you. Reason number 3 why you should just go ahead and do your retightenings yourself is that nobody knows your hair better than you do. Now, granted, if you've been with a loctician for a very long time, several years, they're going to know things about your hair, of course, as well. But they were not born with your head of hair. They have not gone through life with your head of hair. They haven't done the transitions with your hair over time, whether you've done chemicals or coloring or whatever it may be that you've done to your hair in the past. Only you have had your hair on your scalp and dealt with it. So regardless of whether you're good at doing it or not, you know your hair better than anyone else. You know what your hair likes and what your hair doesn't like. And you may be discovering that on a daily basis, but in general, you just have a better understanding of what works and what doesn't work for your hair. And although maybe embarking on a lock journey is something new for you, that doesn't mean that much changes. Yes, there are things that you may not know that you knew about your loose natural hair that you no longer know about your hair because it's now locking, but you still know your hair and how it grows out of your scalp. You know when your hair feels dry. You know when your hair feels brittle. Just because you're locked now, those feelings and those just senses don't change. You may not necessarily know exactly what to do to help it now that your hair is forming in a different way, but you know and you can feel the things that you've always known about your hair. So just the knowledge that you know your hair better than anyone else is a reason to go ahead and do that lock retie yourself. The next reason, which is reason number 4, why you should go ahead and do that lock retie yourself, is because it's great not to be dependent on anyone else to do your hair. As we all know, recently, well, depending on when you're watching this video, at some point in time or in history, there was a big panorama that happened in the world. I know it's not panorama. It was a joke. Bad one. But a big thing happened in the world, and a lot of us were shut in the house and we were not allowed to go out and do the things that we normally did. So at that time, people who were dependent on a loctician or someone else to do their hair for them were in trouble. Maybe some people were still able to get their loctician to come over and do their hair, or go to their loctician and get their hair done. I don't know. But from a lot of people that I heard that were dependent on their locticians, the beginning, like 6 months of isolation and whatnot, was very difficult for them because they just didn't know how to do their own hair. They were dependent on someone else to do it. And so some people were having lock thinning. They were having extreme marring of the locks and just all sorts of issues because they weren't able to maintain it themselves. Maybe they were washing it and they were separating it regularly, but they weren't able to do the maintenance that needed to be done. So people who might have been going 4 to 6 weeks in between their lock reties were now going 4 or 5 months without doing anything to their hair in terms of maintenance. And for some people, that caused to be detrimental in hurting their lock journey, or at least impeding it and messing it up a little bit. For some people, it might not have affected it that badly at all and it wasn't a big deal. But for some people, it is a big deal. If you have thin hair and you don't have a lot of hair to work with, and then you're going a long time, too long in between your reties, that could really mess up your hair and mess up your locks and cause thinning and things like that. So not being dependent on anyone else to do your hair is just amazing. Reason number 5 why you should go ahead and retie your hair yourself kind of ties into the last one as far as not being dependent on anyone, but you're also not dependent on a place or a time. Locticians have schedules. They have usually set business hours. Places have set business hours. When you retie yourself, you can literally retie when you want, where you want, how you want. So if you want to do it at home while you're watching Netflix or Hulu in the middle of the night, you can't go to a loctician at 2 o'clock. Well, maybe you can some, but for most people, I'm sure they're not like, yeah, come over to my house or my salon at 2 o'clock in the morning so I can do your hair when you get off work from the late shift. But if you're doing your hair yourself, you have the freedom to say, you know what? I get off at 11. I'm going to start retying my hair tonight at 12 and do it for 3 hours and get that section done. So it's just nice to have that flexibility of doing your hair when you want, wherever you want. I've literally been sitting in carpool line waiting to pick up my kid and been doing some of my locks and doing reties. Now, maybe some of the other parents in the car were looking at me like, what is this dude doing? But I don't care because I'm doing me. So if you see me with a little threading needle and I'm over there in my car and you're like, man, what is he doing? That's what I'm doing. I'm probably retying a row or 2 of locks while I'm sitting waiting in carpool line. The particular interlocking tool that I use is plastic. So if I want to take my interlocking tool on a plane, which I haven't done that yet because I haven't traveled on a plane since all of this began, I could take it on a plane and I could literally be retightening my locks on a plane. Now again, maybe you don't feel comfortable doing that when there's other people around. To each their own. But if I'm on a plane, like on an international flight, and people are sleeping anyways and it's dark, I couldn't care less. So if I need a retie, let me go ahead and knock out 10 or 20 locks while people are sleeping and I'm up watching a movie or something and just get some of my hair done. Why not? You can literally do it anywhere, anytime. You're not constrained to hours. You're not constrained to places or anything like that. You may be constrained to how comfortable you feel doing it in front of other people if you choose to do it outside of your own 4 walls, but to each their own, it's up to you. Do you. And the last and final reason that I have for this list today is that you feel a sense of accomplishment. Who doesn't like doing DIY stuff that when you get done, even if it may not be the best product, where if you had bought it, it would have been a little bit higher quality, but at the end of the day, you look at that shelf that you built or that wall that you painted or that whatever it may be, and you're like, wow, I put blood, sweat, and tears into that, and I'm proud of myself. I did it. I did the darn thing, and it looks pretty good. It's the same when it comes to your hair. When you finish a retie, depending on whether it takes you hours or days, there is a sense of accomplishment. You look in the mirror and you're like, ooh, Look at that retie. Don't look at mine right now because I'm like 5 weeks in. I need to retie soon, but I'm letting it. I personally like the look of my hair when it's not freshly retied, just because it moves a little bit better, and I don't like seeing my scalp all the time. I also like when it is freshly retied, but I prefer it when it's not. But you just have this sense of accomplishment, like, yes, I did it. It looks good. I look fresh. Now I can do a style and show off my scalp if I want to. And you just feel good about yourself. So if you enjoy getting that sense of self-accomplishment and, yeah, I did that, then go ahead and do your reties yourself, because you're going to feel so good once you do finish, and you're going to look at your end results and be like, man, I did that. Thank you so much for hanging around and watching to the end of this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not already subscribed, and make sure you join the flock, and also hit that like button so I can know what type of content you all are enjoying. And as always, go out of your way to be kind to people and spread love, joy, and positivity. There's too much negative stuff going on in this world for us to be nagging and hating on each other and just being mean and cruel. So give someone a smile, give someone a hug, send some love and positive vibes out there, and just spread happiness and joy. Until next time, bye.